So for the past week, I've been using the ASUS Zenbook Pro 16X OLED, the UX7602, and I gotta tell you, this creator's laptop, yes, it's geared towards creators, is one of the best laptops I've used here in 2023, and there's a few reasons why. It's not perfect. We'll get into the reasons why I think it falls just a little bit short of being perfect, but it does have a gorgeous 16-inch OLED display. It's 120 hertz. It's absolutely gorgeous. It's got pen support. It comes with the ASUS Pen 2.0. It also has a beautiful keyboard here that gives you a nice raised typing angle when you're using it. We'll get into that a little bit. It also gives you good airflow. It's got the ASUS Dial right here. It's very Surface Dial-like. It's got a haptic touchpad that is super responsive, worked out really well, great implementation, and a host of other features. Folks, this is jam-packed with a lot of features. Now, it does come with a pretty hefty price tag. We'll get into that as well, but I think you get a lot for the money. So we're going to get into why I think this is one of the best laptops, especially if you're a content creator, to take a look at, especially if you're looking for a Windows laptop. Hey everybody, it's Andrew, and this is my review of the ASUS Zenbook Pro 16X OLED here for 2023. Coming up. Now, before we get to the unit itself, I just want to let everyone know, in the interest of transparency and full disclosure, I'm not being paid by ASUS. I'm not being sponsored by ASUS. All the opinions you're about to hear are my own. ASUS is not getting copy approval. That means they're seeing this video for the first time, just like you. Now, this unit is on loan from ASUS, and once this review is done, I'll be sending it back. According to ASUS, pricing starts at $2699.99. Price as tested here today, $3499.99. You could actually pre-order it right now over at Excalibur PC. As it becomes more available from different outlets, I will let you know. And if you want to save a little bit of money, you could pick up last year's model. Best Buy has it for $2599.99. Of course, I'll leave links for everything in the description below. Without further ado, let's get this out of the box. This is a pretty unique looking box here. Okay, we get a little nice case or sleeve here. That's always nice to include. It's a really nice one, actually. We'll take a look at that in a moment. Okay, I'm not sure if this comes in the box normally in the retail packaging. I'll have to reach out to ASUS, but what a nice little backpack here. Wow, this is pretty nice. You can see it here. It's got some pretty nice durable material here. Let's see how this is going to open up. Let's stand this up. So this is what it looks like. Okay, so it's here and you can see from behind. This is some pretty unique packaging here. All right, let's lift this up. Wow, that looks pretty clean. We get some documentation here. And that's where the power charger and everything. Great packaging. So it looks like we get the pen here, okay? So the ASUS Pen 2.0. As I told you, this does have pen support right there. Well, let's get to the power charger here. A nice brick here, 280 watts, okay? So you can see it there. Power charger is, of course, going to bring juice to this. And you're going to need something a little bit beefier. Of course, it's got a 4080 RTX. It's got a barrel pin connection here. And then, of course, you get your power cord, okay? And I think we get some documentation in here. So in search of incredible, we've seen this before, yada, yada, yada. Some more information here. Oh, here's something else. We get a Ethernet adapter to Type A. That's pretty interesting. Nice to include that as well. So a lot of goodies in the box, folks. So not too bad, not too bad. So kilograms, 2.424 kilograms. And then if we want to get it with pounds, we're looking at 5 pounds, 5.5 ounces. The weight with the charger, okay, so this is the power cord and the 280 watt power charger. You're looking at 3.208 kilograms. Pounds, you're looking at, let me get it, 7 pounds, 1.2 ounces or 1.1 ounces. And then with the pen, let's just put the pen on there, total travel weight, 7 pounds, 1.7 ounces. And again, if you want with kilograms, we're looking at 3.224 kilograms. So definitely a big boy here, but definitely packs a lot of power under the hood. Okay, let's check out the port selection. On the left side is your power port. Next to that is a USB 3.2 Gen 2 Type A port. Good to see that. 2 USB Type-C Thunderbolt 4 ports that are full function. They support data, charge, and display out. And moving over to the right side is a full-size SD card reader, a 3.5mm microphone headphone combo jack, and finally an HDMI 2.1 FRL port to round out the ports on this laptop. I would say all in all, a good port selection, and don't forget, they do give you that Ethernet port adapter in the box. All right, let's talk about user upgradability, and the SSD is user upgradable, and as you can see from these excellent reads and writes, the included SSD here is really good, especially for 2023, very fast. Now, unfortunately, the RAM is soldered into the motherboard. You as the user cannot upgrade it yourself, which is a little bit unfortunate. So that is something to keep in mind. Now, my review unit has 32 gigabytes of RAM, and it is running in dual channel mode. And one thing to take note of, it's very fast RAM, 7467 megahertz. That's pretty fast, nice. And you can order this with up to 64 gigabytes of RAM. And the wireless is working well. You're looking at Wi-Fi 6E, Bluetooth 5.3. That combo card is soldered into the motherboard, not upgradable by the user, but both working flawlessly. Okay, let's talk about the star of the show, and that would be its 16-inch 3.2K OLED display, which is simply gorgeous. It's absolutely stunning, folks. It's a 16:10 aspect ratio, 3200 by 2000. It's got a 0.2 millisecond response time. It's got 120 hertz refresh rate to give you that really smooth flowing experience, especially when you're gaming, operating throughout the OS. It's going to be really great. Although operating at that high refresh rate will take away some of the battery life. We'll get into that in a moment. But as far as a color accurate display, this is extremely color accurate. It's got excellent coverage of the color gamut. So if you're a content creator that does Lightroom, Photoshop, video editing, color grading, this is an excellent panel to do those tasks. And it has all the hallmarks of an OLED display, the really deep blacks, the super vibrant colors, the really high contrast. It's all there. Everything just seems to pop off the display. Now, as far as the peak brightness, 550 nits of peak brightness when you're looking at high dynamic range content. Standard dynamic range, I was able to measure 404 nits. Very bright, very sharp. Everything really just pops, as I said. Excellent display here. Now, it is a glossy display, but I didn't really notice too much screen glare or reflections, and that's because it is a bright display, so not much of an issue, at least in my opinion. Now, the touch layer is very responsive. Navigating the OS with your finger, pinch to zoom, all worked well, and it has pen support. They do include the ASUS Pen 2.0 in the box, great for taking notes, sketching out artwork and diagram. It all worked well. So this is the camera on the ASUS Zenbook Pro 16X OLED here for 2023. You're looking at 1080p video, 30 frames per second. What do you think about the video quality? What do you think about the audio quality? One thing to note, this is an IR camera. That means you can log in with face recognition with Windows Hello. There is a camera shutter switch, which is a dedicated key actually, on the keyboard that gives you more security and privacy. And there's also a fingerprint scanner for those that want to use that. Of course, those are your choices. What do you think about the video quality? What do you think about the audio quality? Let me know in the comments section below. Okay, let's talk about the strong suit of this laptop, and that would be its performance. That's because it's running a powerful processor, the Core i9-13905H. That's a 45-watt CPU with 14 cores. That's 8 efficient cores and 6 performance cores. And as you can see from these benchmarks, the single and multi-core performance is excellent on this unit. Check out this single core score. When I ran the Cinebench R23, it got 2034, leading the pack, beating out the XPS 15, the XPS 17, the Galaxy Book 3 Ultra, and the MacBook Pro 16, running the M2 Max. Check out this multi-core performance here, 18,869. Once again, leading the pack, beating out the XPS 17, the MacBook Pro 16, the Dell XPS 15, and the Galaxy Book 3 Ultra. And I was really curious to see how it would do when it comes to 4K video editing. And to say the least, I was not disappointed. It did really well. When I rendered a 3-minute H.264 4K video in DaVinci Resolve, it took 1 minute and 32 seconds. It took the XPS 17 9730 1 minute and 47 seconds to render that same video. As far as the Apple MacBook Pro with the M1 Pro, that took 3 minutes and 23 seconds. So definitely a very good video editing powerhouse here. And not only is this good for content creation, but you can game as well, thanks to the NVIDIA GeForce RTX 4080 with a total TGP of 160 watts. And as you can see from these results, very playable frame rates on some of the more popular titles. Certainly the older titles have excellent frame rates, of course, when you're playing, it's really good. And even Cyberpunk 2077, a very graphics intensive game, certainly had playable frame rates, even playing under 4K. Now, a couple of things to note. It does have a mux switch. You can use the discrete GPU, or you can do the hybrid mode, which switches between the discrete and integrated graphics. I like having that control. And of course, you could put it into the performance mode, standard mode, and whisper mode in the fan profile of the My ASUS app. Now, good news when it comes to the thermals. When I ran the TimeSpy stress test, it got a passing score of 98.7%, meaning it detected very little, if any, thermal throttling under heavy load. That's good news. More good news when it comes to the surface temperatures under heavy load. It didn't get overly hot, stayed relatively cool throughout, and that's because it's employing vapor chamber cooling and liquid metal cooling according to their specs. But one thing you will notice is the fan noise reaching 53, 54 decibels in the performance mode under load. But when you're doing normal tasks, it wasn't really all that noticeable. But you definitely will notice it when gaming and things like that. And with pretty amazing performance, you would think everything's perfect. Well, not so much. And that, of course, would be the Achilles heel of this laptop, and that is battery life. This sports a 96 watt-hour battery. To put it into context, the Dell XPS 179730 that I recently reviewed has a 97 watt-hour battery, and it did much better on the PC Mark X Modern Office battery test. The Zenbook Pro 16X OLED did 4 hours and 49 minutes, whereas the Dell XPS 17 did 8 hours and 44 minutes on that same test. When it comes to video playback, things are a little bit better here. 8 hours and 29 minutes versus the Dell XPS 17, which got 9 hours and 7 minutes. Now, please keep in mind, when I ran these tests, I did enable the 120 hertz refresh rate. Expect better battery life, maybe an hour and a half better if you lower it down to 60 hertz. And not surprising, it only got 2 hours and 14 minutes of battery life when you're gaming on battery. And for those of you wondering, yes, you can open the lid with one finger, and the hinges are on pretty nice and tight. As far as that ergo lift hinge, when you lift it lifts up the keyboard, giving you a nice raised typing angle and also helping increase the airflow, helping with the thermal. So really good design there. I like that. Very comfortable for typing. Now, the keyboard feels really good as far as the key travel. Typing out long documents and emails has worked out well. Very comfortable typing here. I liked it. Good feedback, good tactility, all good on that front. Now, it does have a multi-stage backlight that allows you to get work done in a dark room and a dimly lit environment. That worked out as well. All right, let's talk about the touchpad. It's a haptic touchpad, and the feedback of that haptic engine was excellent. The responsiveness when it comes to scrolling worked out really well. All the gestures work as you'd expect. They did an excellent job here, and I love when a haptic touchpad works out really well and the implementation is done spot on. This is no exception. They did a great job here. Kudos to the engineers over at ASUS. Now, with that being said, it also has the numpad in it. Of course, you need to crunch some numbers in a pinch. Nice feature to have, although having a dedicated numpad with physical keys would be the more ideal situation, but in a pinch, this certainly works. And it has the ASUS Dial, so when you're working in, say, things like After Effects or other Adobe applications, Photoshop, Lightroom, and of course Premiere Pro, you can scrub through the timeline. It gives you a lot of nice contextual features specific to those applications. And if you're in the desktop or using it throughout the OS, you can change the volume, you can change the screen brightness. It all worked well. I thought it was very responsive. It was very much akin to what we saw with the Surface Dial. It worked in a lot of the same manner. Now, the sound on this has been excellent. It's got a 6-speaker sound system. It's got Dolby Atmos to help with the spatial audio. And I think the sound overall is one of the best on a Windows laptop I've seen in a very long time. Now, let's give it a listen.
Such a long time. I can feel my heart jumping. Are you still mine? Now I never very know, but I come closer down to
Okay, folks, let's bring it all home. What do I think about the ASUS Zenbook Pro 16X OLED here for 2023? And as far as a creator's laptop goes, this is one of the best, if not the best out there, in my opinion, especially with its gorgeous 16-inch OLED display with its 3.2K resolution, 120 hertz refresh rate, 0.2 millisecond response time. It all worked well. It had some really excellent performance out of its Core i9 processor. The RTX 4080 provided a lot of graphics horsepower, especially when it comes to video editing. That worked out really well. But the Achilles heel of this is going to be the battery life. The longevity wasn't the best in the category. Certainly uses a lot more battery life than the XPS 17 that I recently reviewed. But of course, a lot of you are going to be using this at a desk most of the time anyway, because it's not the lightest laptop out there, but it is portable when you need it to take with you on the go. But just don't expect to take it without the charger, because you will be needing to plug in. But my overall takeaway is this is an excellent laptop that packs a ton of features, and it is expensive, but you are getting a lot for the money. So I highly recommend the ASUS Zenbook Pro 16X OLED here for 2023. So please hit the like button, please subscribe, please share this video. Don't forget to leave a comment in that comment section below. Let me know how I'm doing. Let me know if there's a device or something out there you think I should review. I'll do my best to try to make that happen. Don't forget to check me out on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and of course, my website, amdtechreviews.com. So until next time, this is Andrew, and I'll see you in the next video.